Touchdown Tampa Bay, you're listening to the Pewtercast.
Welcome to the Pewtercast. I am Brent Allen, your host, and we are oh so close to training camp. I can feel it. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend Ren, the adult Daxed. Ren, how's life, buddy?
I'm adulting away.
Yeah?
Yes, doing my adult things. Not making noises with my mouth that sound like gibberish.
Ren, buddy.
No matter how many times you do that to me, I always forget you're going to do it to me.
Do I really?
Like, every show, you pull something out that we talked about before we go, start recording, and you throw it at me. And every time I'm caught off guard. Every time. Yeah.
So peeling back the curtain a little bit behind how it works here at the Pewtercast, Ren and I, as with most podcasts, before you actually press record, there's the, hey, how's it going? I'm doing good here. Hey, what do we got to cover? What's this? Basically, and sometimes for us, it's 30 minutes or an hour that we talk before we ever get to record. Or sometimes it's 5 or 10. Just so you know, basically, I keep the conversation going until I figure out whatever I'm going to say. Just till I'll loop you into saying something.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's exactly how that works. No,
I'll start prepping. I'll start prepping. I'll just, hey, how you doing? And I'll just say something, and then we can start.
Cartographer, go. I like maps. We've got a fun episode here. We're a week away from training camp. Not even. By the time people listen to this, training camp is happening this week. It'll be here. And I don't know about you, but I am super duper excited. You were telling me earlier, I just got to talk. I got a podcast. There's stuff just bubbling out. And so, in this season, as we move an inch closer and closer and closer to this, in today's episode, Ren, this is kind of your idea. We're going to do some predictions, random predictions.
Yeah, just any. We're going to do 3 each. Any predictions whatsoever that we think are going to happen with the Buccaneers this year, and it can cover anything: record, personal. BA gets fired. Is Jason Light going to make it? Jameis Winston, everything's on the spectrum here. This is just going to be a little fun episode, the last one before we get hardcore into training camp and start talking about the things that Buccaneers fans are chomping at the bit for, who's starting at safety, and how does Devin White look, and hey, Cam Brate's back, is Justin Evans back, is Jack Sitchin back, all that stuff's going to be answered in a week. So I thought we'd do sort of our, little bit of hype. I don't know. I haven't heard your predictions. But yours might be all negative.
Right. Well,
it could be Donovan Smith, because is actually the 32nd ranked tackle in the NFL.
Right. Well, we haven't looked at each other's notes yet, and I think the show actually might be better for it. So, Ren, why don't we go ahead and get into that? Predictions about the 2019 season coming up here on today's episode of the Pewtercast. With popular podcasts like Serial and Netflix documentaries like Making a Murderer, it's no surprise that audiences are obsessed with true crime. And if that's you, then you definitely need to check out Hunt a Killer. Hunt a Killer is a murder mystery box that immerses you in an ongoing experience. With every delivery or episode, you will dive deeper and deeper into the case, sifting through piles of documents, evidence, audio recordings, case files, eliminating suspects until you finally crack the case and catch the killer. Now, you might have heard Ren and I discussing this on a previous episode of the Pewtercast, but let me tell you, after playing my first box, I could not wait to get my hands on the second box and try to continue solving this murder. It really is a whole lot of fun. In fact, my wife, who didn't actually want to hunt a killer with me at first, saw the box and everything that was inside and how real this entire thing feels, and she made me start over so that she could catch up. The evidence and clues are things that you actually put your hands on. Video and audio footage you actually see and hear. In our first box, there was a yearbook, there was a koozie, there was a map, evidence bags filled with stuff. I can't even tell you what's there because I don't want to spoil anything for you. I love this game. And that's why I'm so glad that we were able to hook up with huntakiller.com to give you guys a special offer. Right now, just go to huntakiller.com and sign up and use the word PewterCast for 20% off your first box. Again, make sure to use the code PewterCast, that's all one word, for a 20% off discount and to show your support for the PewterCast. See if you have what it takes to solve the murder of Charlie McDonough before I do, which is the newest case in the Hunt a Killer series. Welcome back to the PewterCast. Ren, as we have said, as everybody out there knows, football is upon us. We are on the precipice of the golden season of the year. That is football season. It's right here. It seems like for the past few years we've been on the precipice of the golden something. Right now we are on the precipice of the golden season of the year, and it's time to do some predictions. Now, you and I, we mentioned in the intro, have not read each other's notes. I don't know if there's going to be any crossover between our picks tonight or not. But I'm interested. This was your idea, and I thought it was a great idea, so I will send it to you first. What is your first prediction for the 2019 season?
Now, I went big on all of these, as in almost a hot take type of predictions.
All right.
And then I scaled them back a bit.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to be that guy.
Okay.
You know?
Just so you know, for mine, sorry, I'm totally that guy.
Okay,
so,
well, it fits our personalities. There you go. You know, the listeners expect nothing less. So I am starting with the running back position, and I think the running back core, which I believe will be Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones, I think they will get 2,200 combined yards, passing and catching.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my first one. I think that, and I've gone on record of saying that Peyton Barber, I think, is probably going to have a top 10 fantasy type of year at the running back position because the way Bruce Arians uses his running backs. You know, they've got to get something out of Ronald Jones. You know, so Jason Light doesn't look like he made a huge mistake in the second round again. And I think that Peyton Barber's going to probably – I think his floor, which is really high, his floor and ceiling are going to be close, but I think his floor is going to be about 1,500 combined yards. Okay.
So, well, I was going to say, because I want you to break this down for me.
Sure.
We discussed on a previous episode, for a running back to hit 1,000 yards is actually not difficult in a 16-game schedule.
Correct.
It's about 60-some-odd yards a game.
66,
right?
67.
So if we say that, let's say Peyton Barber goes out, you know, and actually has a good year, and everybody who says Peyton Barber's not the answer gets shut up. And Peyton has a pretty decent year, as you've said. You think he will,
I do.
And I don't necessarily disagree. But let's say he does that. So let's say his average per game, let's say rushing, because you're combining these as receiving and rushing yards.
Yes.
Let's say his rushing yards are. Let's say he gets about 80 a game, you know, for the year. I think it'd be really good if he had 1,200 yards rushing a year.
Is that the math?
Is that there and about? You know, I'm estimating here. And so, like, so break that down for me. So you're saying about 300 to probably 300 to 500 yards receiving and 1,000 to 1,200 rushing for Peyton, and then the other about 800 or so split over to Rojo.
Split over to Rojo and or whoever else.
The other people are.
Yeah, but the other people are probably going to be, you know,
minuscule.
Yeah, you know, maybe 200 yards combined. You know, with the third and fourth running backs.
Right.
So so the bulk of it's going to. That's why I said the whole running back core. I wanted to go 2,500 yards. That was the number that popped out in my head right away.
Sure.
And
good,
then
nice round number.
Yeah, and then I started doing some math, and I went, that's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
And that's when I scaled it back to 2,200.
Because you say 2,200, and you say between Rojo and Peyton, 2,200 rushing and receiving, and I'm going, that's it? That seems a little low. Like if you expect them to do, and that's why I wanted you to break it down. Like,
sure.
Like if we expect them to have a good year, right? And here at the PewterCast, we're pro Bucks, we are fans. Right. But we can also do some analysis, and you know that has been, you know, we're a little higher on this.
Think of it this way: do you think Peyton Barber is going to get, you know, is he going to get more than 1,200 yards on the ground?
I think that's probably about what he will get. I would say he'll probably get between 1,100 and 1,300 yards in the ground. I give him like a 200-yard window over the course of the season.
Okay,
yeah.
So right in the middle, that's 1,200.
Right.
Okay, and then we'll throw in like 300 yards receiving.
Is that about right? I mean,
I don't know.
I've actually never kept track of receiving yards for a running back.
This is the hard part because, like, under Cutter, he never threw to his running backs that wasn't Jacquizz Rodgers, and that was just sort of late game. He tried to pick up the blitz. No one was there. He'd scoot through the line, and James would dump off to him, and he'd turn around and run for like 12 yards and get tackled. But we're down by 3 scores. And it was just a way to sort of move the sticks. Right. So he never threw. Obviously, he didn't throw to Ronald Jones, and he never threw to Peyton Barber. Like those guys never, like a screen pass didn't exist,
right,
in his offense. So if they're trying to make Rojo this third down back, a pass catching back, if Andre Ellington makes a team, we know that's sort of his role. Like he is basically Jacquizz Rodgers, Bruce Arians' version of Jacquizz Rodgers. I think 300 yards is fair. Okay, I hope it's low. Yeah,
let me ask you this: Is 20 yards a game receiving for Peyton Barber as the number one back, is that fair? Is that a reasonable expectation? Just 20 yards a game.
I hope it's low.
Yeah.
But without, like I said, they've never thrown to him. I'm sure he can catch. Yeah. I can catch. You can catch. You throw me the ball, I'll catch it. But there's a huge difference.
Because 20 yards a game is just a little over 300 yards on the season.
Right.
If he's healthy all 16 games and plays all.
Right.
And
the mystery is how much they're really going to throw to him.
Yeah.
That's the mystery.
Right. And that's just Peyton Barber. That's not. We haven't talked about giving any passes over to Rojo or Andre Ellington or whoever else.
Anderson or Ogunbabwe if they make the team or even if they get on the field. Yeah. So if I say 300 yards, and we're at 1,200 on the ground, 300 in the air, we're at 1,500 yards. So that gives 700 yards to the rest of the backfield.
Right.
Now that might seem low, but if you got a running back going 1,200 yards and catching another 300 yards, when are the other guys coming in to actually produce? I mean,
for the record, what was Peyton Barber's? What was his total yardage for last year as the number one back in Dirk Cutter's super high flying system where they didn't really run the ball? It was like 800 yards or something, right?
Yeah, I think it was like 867.
Okay, so to look at the entire rest of the backfield guys, to say 750 is probably not super off.
I don't have Quiz's numbers, but I'm sure Quiz probably came close to 500 yards receiving.
It's possible.
So we say Peyton got 800, Quiz got 500 yards receiving. So basically I'm saying the Buccaneers backfield roughly is going to get 1,000 more yards through the air and on the ground this year under Bruce Arians' offense.
For whatever it's worth, in his 16 games he played last year, he got 106 yards.
Who?
Jacquizz Rodgers.
Receiving or rushing? That's got to be rushing. There's no way. He got way more than 106 in receiving.
That's a quick Google on, let's hear it, rushing. Yeah, there was 100. Wait.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, total yards, 410.
Okay, so he had 300 yards passing. I said close to, okay, so I was like 200 yards off.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
so,
304 yards receiving and 106 yards rushing for 410 yards total from scrimmage.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And Rojo got practically nothing. So add in Peyton Barber's 800 plus. We're kind of like around 1,200 yards. Right.
And that was in an offense that didn't run the ball.
Couldn't run the ball.
Right.
Couldn't run the ball and didn't throw to their backs unless it was Jacquizz Rodgers.
Right. So so I guess the only other pushback I'd give you that is from what I understand, and I'm not an NFL historian, Bruce Arians' offenses do tend to be a little high-flying, similar to, I imagine, to a little bit of what we saw last year, but he does also run the ball if he has a guy. So
yeah, you have to have a guy. I guess the best way for people who aren't that familiar with Bruce Arians' style offense is just remember Mike Martz back with the Greatest Show on Turf when he had Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk was touching the ball. If they made an 8-play drive, Marshall Faulk touched the ball 5 times.
Right.
He ran for 4 and caught 2 more. He was an all-around weapon. And then Mike Martz becomes a head coach and then gets fired, and then he goes to Chicago and he turns Matt Forte into Marshall Faulk. Matt Forte, when Mike Martz was there, was a fantasy god. And then when Mike Martz left as offensive coordinator, Matt Forte was out of the league shortly. He keeps getting drafted in fantasy because, look what he did. No. It's the offense that he was in. And when you see what Bruce Arians had with David Johnson, who, became the number one. He was drafted number one in fantasy for a couple of years because of what he did under Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians leaves, and now he's just not the same player production-wise.
Right.
So
2,200 yards. I'm sorry, 2,200 yards. That seems like a stretch, but that seems like that could be doable. Like,
this is a prediction.
Yeah.
No, I think it's very doable. Because like I said, Peyton's probably going to get around. I'm putting Peyton like at 1,500 all-purpose yards, and then you only got to get 700 yards from
everybody else. Yeah,
from everybody else.
Yeah, I'll take it, man. I'll go with you on that. And I'm sorry to sit there and go through that. It just trying to figure out where you were adding where those yards were coming from. That was
2,200. You're crazy.
Well, yeah, but it's rather that don't want anybody to write articles about you out there, Ren. Without giving you a chance to explain it. So, no, I like it. 2,200 yards. And,
how about I rephrase it? The Buccaneers backfield will gain 1,000 more yards all around this year they did last year.
Fair enough. I like it. That sounds more spiffy. It should be interesting. I'm gonna go out on. I'm gonna do one, and I'm gonna start off with kind of my big one. I think.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna start off with my big one, and it's the one that hopefully everybody sees coming. It's the one that you probably see coming, and I am just gonna go ahead and lay this out there. I think this year the Buccaneers make the playoffs, and I think they do it this year. And
I did not see that coming.
You did not see that coming. No, I do. I think they actually make the playoffs this year. I really do.
Are you saying that you think 3 playoff teams will come from the NFC South?
I don't know. Am I?
I don't know.
Well, to be clear, I do think they get a wild card spot. I don't think that they necessarily win the NFC South.
Who wins the NFC South?
It's probably the Saints again, if I had to guess. Now, to be fair, I'm a Buccaneers fan. I don't study the other teams.
Right.
But I don't feel like the Saints lost so much, and they've been so dominant over the last 2 years. I don't predict that the Atlanta Falcons will – honestly, this may be wishful thinking. With Dirk Cutter as their offensive coordinator, I'm just kind of hoping they don't do much again. Like, I really – nothing against Dirk, but also against Dirk. Like, I just – I don't feel like the Falcons have really turned a corner, and I think they had a pretty down year this past year. And
going from the Super Bowl to 6 wins, 7 wins.
Yeah, they had a rough outing, and I don't think that they have improved enough to have a huge year. And then when you look at the Panthers, there are all these question marks about Cam Newton's shoulder and just other things. And if the race for one wild card spot is between us and the Panthers, I like what we have going on here in Tampa. I think the Buccaneers are going to be competitive in the NFC South again this year. And I'm calling it that I say they make the I think they make the playoffs. Now, does that mean that there is one of those other two teams, the Panthers and the Falcons, pick up the second wild card spot? I don't know, but I think
So you're saying the Bucs are going to come in second?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. I think the Bucs come in second in the NFC South this year
and get a wild card spot. All right.
Over all the other second place teams in the other NFC divisions.
Well, at least, not all over all of them.
Well, sure.
Not
over all but one. However that works. However it works out, whatever it is, that's and here's the thing. I think a lot of people look at this team and they go, okay, we've gone 5-11 the last couple of years. If we improve to 8-8 or 9-7, that'll be a vast improvement. And 9-7 can get you a wild card spot. It damn near got us one a couple of years ago. We had to go to, what was it, the 4th or 5th tiebreaker or something like that?
I think it was the 3rd, but yeah, it was down the line.
Sure. But if you get 10-6, it doesn't guarantee you a spot, but it
usually does.
Yeah, it usually does.
Except for when we went 10-6.
Like I said, it doesn't always. But it usually does.
Unless you're the Buccaneers, 10-6 gets you in the playoffs.
Right. Let's not repeat that history this year. But I think a lot of people are looking at this team and they're being very cautious about what they're predicting for this team because it is the Buccaneers, right? Every year the Buccaneers look great on paper. They, we look good going into training camp, whatever we do, and then they shit the bed. Right? That's kind of been the MO the last bunch of years.
Yeah.
Decade and a half, right? I think people are wildly underestimating the Buccaneers this year.
I hope so.
Yes.
And it's a little weird this offseason because, the past few seasons, the Buccaneers would get national talk about being the sleeper and underdog. Like they're even getting like Super Bowl talk on national shows.
Yeah.
And now I feel like everyone's been burnt so much, they're just like, the Bucs stink.
Exactly.
Like, they stink. They're always going to stink.
Exactly.
And you've heard me say this a bunch of times. It's like we're going to find out this year if it's the players, if it was the coaching.
Right.
Under Lovey and Dirk, we're going to find out if
and Schiano and.
Well,
yeah.
I'm sort of not counting the Schiano years because it was a different GM.
Okay, fair enough.
And now that Jason's Light come in and he's built this team, the best way he can. I don't want to say the way he's wanted to, because I'm sure there's some spots where he's like, I would rather have had this guy that I tried to get, or I really wanted to draft that guy, but he was gone by the time he popped up, or hey, I had to draft a safety in the second round 3 years ago when I would like to have grabbed a running back. So I don't want to say he's built the team that he's wanted, but he's it's the best he's done, and 5-11. I just, for as bad as the defense was or has been, and you still managed to win 5 games, I think like no one's really. I mean, we're talking about it. Bucs media talks about it. Podcasters and people on YouTube, they talk about it, but the national guys, pundits, talking heads don't. It's like they do not understand how bad that defense actually was, or they just kind of forgot about it. So
right.
I just don't see how this team can go 5-11 again.
I agree, and I think that they're going to turn and go 11-5 and flip the script. I think it's possible. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to go there yet. But
I would give that more probability than going 5-11.
Yes, I'm with you on that. I would. Yes, I will agree to that. But 10-6, I think, is very much within the realm of possibility. 9-7, I think, is absolutely doable, and I think 8-8 is people predicting scared.
Yeah,
to be honest with you,
8-8 is really the floor with this coaching staff. It's kind of the floor.
8-8 would be a disappointing season, to be quite frank. For me as a fan, 8-8 would be very disappointing.
Yeah, it all depends on how they go 8-8, though.
Oh yes, and that's been the caveat. But that's been the caveat to this conversation of how many wins does so and so need to keep his job, or what's considered. That's all. Well, how do you get there? It's a how do you get there? But even still, 8-8 would be a disappointing season.
If everyone stays healthy.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, even if they don't stay healthy, and there's reasons that we win 8-8 that you kind of give them a little bit of a pass for, that's still disappointing. I don't like it, but I understand it, right? I'm still disappointed.
Yeah, but if Amos goes down week 2, and Blaine Gabbert takes us to an 8-8, and the defense plays great. That's a lot of hope for next year.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. If Blaine Gabbert can get us to 500 with Jameis Winston practically not playing at all, like something like that, like that's like, and the defense, like a top 10 defense or 10th defense or 11th or 12th or anywhere above 15, it's like, okay, we're starting to turn it around. I can see it, and full steam ahead next year. So like an 8-8 I can get, but like if everyone stays healthy and Jameis throws some stupid interceptions late in games, and the defense just isn't coming around the way we hoped it would, and it resembles more of a Mike Smith defense as far as like points given up than it does, a Cardinals defense back when Bowles was there.
Is that even possible? Like, really?
No.
I don't think it is. I just don't see. That's what I mean. I mean, I don't think. And I fully acknowledge this may be the fanboy in me talking, and I also fully acknowledge I have not seen this group of players. I have not, with my own eyes, laid eyes on this coaching staff and how they're coaching the team. The most I have is a tour around the One Buck facility, as far as my own personally being there. Like that's really it. So, this may change. Ask me again at the end of training camp what I think, but I'm looking at the whole situation, and I say the Bucs make the playoffs this year.
All right.
What's your next one?
My next one. This has to do with the defensive line and one player in particular. I'm talking about Vita Vea.
Ooh, I like it already.
And I think he triples his sack total, which would mean he gets how many, Brett?
6 is the number that's jumping in my head right now. How many did you have last year?
Let me give you a hint.
It was between 4 and 5. No, what?
He had 3 last year.
He had 3. Okay. So you think he gets 9 sacks this year?
I do. I really wanted to go 10.
Uh-huh.
But with this Todd Bowles defense where the linebackers blitz a lot, I think he's going to be asked to sort of move guys out of the way.
Okay.
On a fair amount of plays rather than rush the passer. Mm-hmm. But what made me stick with a high total as far as tripling it, which would be 9, is that after he does that, and Devin White is so fast, it's going to make the quarterback sidestep and step up in the pocket, and then Vita Vea is just going to fat on him.
I like the fact that you took the word fat and turned it into a verb.
Yeah, he's gonna fat all over the quarterback, and I think, and then he'll
love it when I fat on people, Ren.
I think he'll get 4, maybe 5, sort of the quote unquote traditional old fashioned way,
and the rest just fall into his lap.
And and the rest are going to be people scrambling around trying to get away from pressure, and they sort of run into him.
Sure.
Plus, you can't underestimate his speed. I mean, for his size, he's so fast. And people don't understand how freakishly strong this guy is.
Right.
I mean, he is I've said this once before. He's like one of only like less than 10 players to put up over 50 reps at the combine at 225. And the year he came out, 2 people did it. One was Quentin Nelson. He put up like 57. And then I think Vea put up 52. Right. But of all the times, as long as this combine's been going on, which is over 30 years, there's been less than 10 people that put up 50 reps, and he was one of them. I mean, he's crazy strong. Yeah. Just crazy, naturally strong guy. Mm-hmm. And he's quick, and he's fast. And now he's going to play next to Sue, who's going to, sort of slap that, nice guy teddy bear wannabe person out of his head and hopefully get him to, I'm going to rip your head off because I can, because I'm freakishly strong, and I'm going to show you.
Right. Hey, I like it. I was one of my predictions that I had thought of. It is not on my list. Was that we were going to get multiple 10-plus sack guys, and that would just the nature of the new line system, which admittedly I'm not super familiar with. It's just everything I keep hearing about it and what I see that we were going to get that. But I like that, especially if you look at it in terms of he's going to get a couple of his own, and then the rest are going to just sort of fall into his lap. I like your thinking
50,
there,
like 50-50.
Yeah. I like your thinking there. So that'd be cool. I like that. And if Vita's listening right now, he likes that too.
Did you see that post he put up not too long ago about him laying on his back and pushing up 120-pound dumbbells in each arm?
No, huh?
Yeah.
Wait, does he have social media?
He does.
I have not seen. I need to figure him out. I've never.
He's on Instagram. I don't think he doesn't tweet a lot. I'm
sure
he's on Twitter.
I've noticed most of these players are not on Twitter anymore, or a lot of them are not on Twitter. Like they're only on Instagram. Yeah.
Like Watford's the one who tweets the most.
Right, and like if they do tweet, it's because they have it hooked up to their Instagram account.
Yeah,
and it's just syncing over from that. Yeah.
Vea, I think he was at $1. I don't know for sure. I don't know if he's allowed in the building, but he had Bucks gear on, and he was working out, and he has a 120-pound dumbbell in each hand, and he lays down on his back, and he just like presses him up, and like no big deal.
I'm gonna have to go find that. Yeah, I'd be cool to see that.
He's on Instagram.
Yeah, you know what I found weird was because you talk about whether or not they're allowed in the building, and now I can't keep straight what the rules are with the CBA of, can they say anything to each other? Can they not say anything? Can they just say hi as they're walking past each other? Are they allowed in the building, not allowed in the building? I can't keep up with all that. But I heard, I saw the picture of Jameis at FSU. Right? But then I also saw another one of him in a film room breaking down film with Justin Watson and Scotty Miller, and it looked like Ryan Griffin was there as well. And then I heard Mike Allstott talk about how he went by the facility the other day, and Jameis was out there working out and had a couple of guys with him. So it's weird. Like I can't keep straight who's allowed where and where they're not.
There's been plenty of times where I've heard players not allowed in the building, and then you see them posting them working out on $1 field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like you said, whatever. But Jameis right now he's at Florida State, and he's got some of his receivers with you, and he's just doing a passing camp, and that's probably where he was in the film breakdown. I didn't hear the Mike Allstott thing, but
yeah. All right, my next prediction.
Okay,
my next prediction. And this one I'm going to go ahead and put into the category of complete fanboy because I have honestly not looked around the league to see who this person would be against. But think, I'm hoping, Okay, this may not be a legit prediction. I'm really hoping this is the year that Ali Marpet finally makes the Pro Bowl.
I get that. I thought about that, and pretty much kind of what you said. Like, I didn't want to go through all the trouble of
who else is he going against?
Yeah, like
right?
who are the past winners? Are they still there? Like, then go through and say who are some high draft picks that have been drafted by other teams or at guard, and like I didn't want to do all that stuff either. But he does in the analytics circles of NFL, he does get a lot of love.
Sure.
So if it's, I think, and this is something that, as we talk about how the Pro Bowl is a popularity contest, it's also you either have to be elite or your team has to win.
Right.
So for Ali to make the Pro Bowl, the team's going to have to win.
Which I think we will because we're going to the playoffs.
Right. So
yeah.
I can see that and I get that. And, I think I predicted that last year. And I think I predicted that the year before. Hey, Ali's going to break through and make the Pro Bowl. And we've talked about how offensive linemen, unless they're, just this, top 10 guy that was drafted stud, it's really hard to get in there because it's more of a once you get there, you kind of get voted in a couple years after you really shouldn't because it's sort of your reputation. Like you make it once and you make it again. Then after the third time you make it, even if your production falls off, you're probably going to get voted in the fourth and fifth year as well until, somebody really pushes you out the door. It's not really it's not because there's no stats to look at.
Right.
It's not a defensive tackle with tackle for loss or defensive end or outside linebacker with sacks, or it's not cornerbacks with interceptions and pass breakups. Like there's no box score you can look at and sort of decide which guard is playing better than all the other guards. You need that analytics stuff. So in his favor, Ali does get love at the guard position for the analytics crowd. So yeah, I can see it.
There you go.
I'm not predicting it.
So I'm looking at it right now. Just last year alone, their roster for the NFC at the guard position, they had Zach Martin from Dallas and Brandon Brooks from Philadelphia as the starters. They had Brandon Scherf as the reserve, and they had Trey Turner, T.J. Lang, and Larry Warford from Carolina, Detroit, and New Orleans, respectively, as the alternates. So
right. Can you see how many times those guys have made it?
No, not immediately. It's not listed here. So, can Ali find his way into that group somehow? Whether he's as an alternate and then like one of the other guys goes, to the Super Bowl, so he slides in or something like that. I don't know, but I'm sticking with. I think Ali Marpet finally makes a Pro Bowl this year. If he doesn't, he definitely should be in the conversation. But that's what I'm going with. Ali Marpet makes Pro Bowl.
He definitely should be in the conversation. You haven't even seen his season yet. How can you say that?
Because I'm a fan. Based on his last 5 years and the contract he got, and I have his jersey in my closet downstairs. So
there you go.
That's pretty much it.
Best reasons I've heard all day.
Yes. Because you know why? Because I saw him in OTAs, and he looked fantastic in OTAs.
He did.
Nobody got by him. Yeah, nobody. No one got by him in OTAs.
Like
the hole he opened up for the running backs was just amazing.
Ali, the people mover, Marpet. All right, my third prediction. I am going with a draft pick.
Uh-oh.
Is it going to be Devin White, Defensive Player of the Year, or Defensive Rookie of the Year? No, it's not. Is it going to be something about Matt Gay, the kicker? No, it's not. Who does that leave?
Why are you pointing at me?
Help me with my cadence. All right. It is, I think,
Mike Edwards.
Scotty Miller. I almost did a Mike Edwards. I almost said, Do you have something for Mike Edwards?
No, I don't.
Okay, so I almost said that Mike Edwards is going to lead the secondary in interceptions.
Okay.
I almost went with that one, but
sure.
I haven't seen him yet.
Right.
That's just going off everyone talking about him.
You're right.
And how bad our secondary is at getting interceptions. So I'm like, well, I can't really back that up. Scotty Miller, wide receiver, Bowling Green, leads the teams in yards per catch and gets 6 touchdowns.
And leads the team in yards per catch.
Yes. Average. That yards per catch average.
Okay. All right. That would assume that even though it's an average, there is still probably because if he's getting 6 touchdowns, then he's getting a significant amount of touches as well.
No, not necessarily.
No? Okay.
I think he's that fast.
Okay.
Like if he gets, he gets 30, 35 catches this year, I think 20 of those will be like on 9 routes, where he's just flying down the field.
Okay.
Jameis throws it to a spot and he runs under it.
All right.
And that's why I think he's not going to lead in reception. He's not going to lead in yards, but yards per catch average.
Yeah.
I think, over half of his receptions are going to be down the field.
What about the oh so cool acronym of YAC? How's that going to figure into this equation?
That
yards after catch.
No, that's yards because it counts as yards per catch.
Right. No, but what I'm saying is how much of it is going to be he's going to catch like a little, short dump pass and then just burn somebody down the field versus,
I already said it's going to be 9 routes. He's not going to lead the team in YAC. Evans is because he's going to get the most balls. It's that's just a numbers game, But if he goes up the seam, Jameis hits him, for 25 yards, and then he takes it in another 30 for the score. All that goes into yards per catch.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but he's not going to lead the team in YACs. He's not going to get enough touches with Godwin and Perryman and Evans.
Right. Well, no, I wasn't necessarily asking if he was going to lead the team in YAC. I was just in your idea of that, like how, like, and you did say a lot of it's going to be the 9 routes, but I just,
Yes, he's not going to get the tunnel screens a la Adam Humphries.
So he's not. I mean, because that's and that's I think where I was getting at was because a lot of the comparisons that I keep hearing is this guy's basically going to come in and take over Adam Humphries' job. He's going to be the new Adam Humphries, and I think, I'm glad you're saying that. I think a lot of the reason why people are saying that is because they have a very similar look and a very similar build, right? Like if you look at Scotty Miller, you look at Adam Humphries, they look a lot the same. So hey, there's our Adam Humphries replacement.
They're both smaller guys. They're quick,
right?
Yes, but let's. But this is something I've said. There's the difference like between Adam Humphries and Deshaun Jackson is Adam Humphries is quick, in and out of his break, short distances, cramped spaces, slot. Deshaun Jackson is fast. He'll just run right by you. Scotty Miller is both.
Right.
He's quick and he's fast. And so I think he's going to be, I think he's going to be an upgrade from Adam Humphries. I just think he is as far as the things that he can do.
Who is going to be that new slot receiver guy? You think who is taking over that Adams?
Everybody.
You think everybody? Is BA going to look to do with maybe not Mike Evans, but say maybe Chris Godwin, like what he did with Larry Fitzgerald out
Godwin moving into the slot. Godwin moving in the slot when they put Perryman on the outside, or they put Scotty Miller on the outside. Justin Watson's going to play a lot of slot too. Perryman could play the slot depending on down and distance. It's like 3rd and 8. And you run like Perryman and OJ Howard, off the same side of the ball. One guy in the slot, one guy like you're throwing out 2 guys that are like 6'5" with a catch radius as big as an albatross.
Right.
It's it depends on the situation. But as far as who's going to probably get the most snaps in the slot, I think it's going to be Godwin. I think he's going to bounce inside and outside. Mike's probably exclusively going to stay on the outside, and then. But I feel that the slot's going to be mostly Godwin, Watson, and Miller.
Okay. All right. I like it.
So leads the team in yards per catch and gets 6 TDs.
All right. I like it. My last prediction is also involving a specific player. This one is not a draft pick, though. But it is in the same position you were just talking about at the wide receiver. I'm talking about Mike Evans. And I think, and again, I have nothing to base this on other than more hope than anything else. Because what do we have to base stuff on? People making predictions right now. What do you have to base it on? We know nothing. We know nothing.
Sure.
Here's what I say. Mike Evans set a record. He set a whole bunch of records last year. One of those records was he became one of only 3 players in NFL history to catch 1,000 yards in his first 5 seasons.
Right.
The only other 2 players there are AJ Green and Randy Moss.
Right.
You actually probably know this. I have not been able to find the stat of who has done it in 6 seasons. I think it's only one of those 2 guys. If it's not both, I don't think.
No, it's not both. One of them falls off this year, and I believe it's Randy Moss, shockingly enough. Okay. And so Mike, I think this is right. Mike ties it this year, and if he gets it next year, he's all by himself.
He owns it, right. I think Mike ties it this year. That's my prediction. I think Mike gets us another 1,000 yards. I think that's easy. I think that's
that is easy.
I think that's an easy one. But
in fact, we should go to an alternate. because that's too easy.
No.
Jameis Winston is going to throw 10 touchdown passes at least.
Jameis Winston's going to get be the first quarterback in Tampa Bay history to get a second contract.
That's an easy one too.
Yeah, but no, my point of that being, I think Mike Evans continues to break those records.
I do too.
All right.
I'm not giving you any follow-up, man. That's too weak.
You think so? Really?
I veto that.
You veto.
Not that,
well, I veto your veto.
Power. Exactly. Not like my veto. I double veto you. Yeah, so, I mean, I think that's almost a shoo-in, to be honest. I mean, let's face it, the way the NFL now is, a receiver getting 1,000 yards is kind of like a running back getting 1,000 yards rushing. It's 67 yards a game, Brent.
Right. Yeah.
When you throw the ball 30 times a game, that ain't that hard.
Right. But I mean, I don't know.
I just don't have anything to give you. Like, there's no argument. Yeah. It's like Bruce Arians will coach this year. Like,
oh, here's a hot take for you. Bruce Arians will not get fired at the end of this year, no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter what.
Yeah. Ali Marpet will be back next year. Ali Marpet's going to start week 1.
Devin White will make the team.
Devin White will make the team. There you go.
All right. Well, since you're not giving me a whole lot on that, Ren, I have a question for you.
Okay.
And this is more of a topic to bring up, I guess, but a question for you that we didn't. It was in my mind actually for our last episode, and I've kind of been hanging on to it. But it is a prediction. Well, okay. So last time we talked about some of the various positions to watch and battle groups and things like that over the roster here in training camp.
Right.
Who, and this could be more than one person, who is the surprise cut when they go down to the 53-man roster this year? And you can't include Gerald McCoy because that was way back when. I'm talking about with who's on the roster now, who's going to be the surprise cut? And I know I didn't give you any time to prep this or think about it beforehand.
You did not. All right, let's start on offense.
Yeah.
Possibly Andre Ellington.
Okay.
That would be it's not a huge surprise. But if, Dare or Anderson can do anything that Ellington can, and Barber and Jones are, as we're being told, I don't want to say as advertised, but as we're being told by the head coach, it just might be a better fit for a younger guy and salary cap. And there's a whole bunch of reasons I can make, but Andre Ellington might be a guy. Wide receiver, who I want to say wide receiver surprise is Perryman.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. His hands are suspect. I know he's sort of had this resurgence. This is the third team he's been on. He was a former number 1 pick. He was with the Ravens, didn't work out. He was with the Browns, and it did work out. But then I think they traded for, like, they got Landry and OBJ, and he's like, yeah, I don't want to play here anymore. But he's also, I don't like to call players injury prone, but he does get injured a lot. And if, Bobo Wilson or Lodge from Mississippi or Anderson from Buffalo really make a big push in training camp, and I'm including Watson and Miller, and if Perryman gets injured, because he's already got injured once, like he did get injured in OTA. I think he got injured in minicamp or wherever, and he was out for a while. If he gets injured somewhere, week 2, and he's not going to come back he can't come back till week 3, they might just part ways with him. Like we just don't.
Just eat the money, eat the cap hit, because it's $4 million.
Yeah.
But they don't get the money back.
Deal.
Yeah, they don't get the money.
Deal.
Right, but they don't get the money back.
Right.
But it's at the. So the money is spent one way or the other, right? Well, do you need the roster spot or don't you? Like
exactly.
That's what it comes down to, right?
Exactly.
See, look, I'm not just speaking as a fan. There is actual analysis that happens there, although that's deep.
The offensive line, I guess the surprise cut could be Kappa. I don't think it's going to happen. But I haven't heard anything good about him since he's been here.
Yeah.
But it'll be something that, I'm sure you, me, and every Bucs fan and the Buccaneers universe will be watching that go to training camp, how Kappa's doing.
But see, would Kappa be a surprise cut, though?
Yes. because he was a 3rd-round draft pick just last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know. See, I don't know, because if Kappa gets cut, I think we will see it coming. Like, you know what I mean? He has his draft status that kind of shields him a little bit, but like we'll see in OTAs, we'll see through last year
he was the starting guard all through minicamp and OTAs.
Sure, but what's going to happen? But no, okay, so Noah Spence. Right? Noah Spence has that 4th preseason game last year. He doesn't do anything. Nope. If Noah Spence had gotten cut last year, would that have been a surprise cut for anybody?
Yes.
No.
Because he was a 2nd-round pick.
No.
And had a very promising rookie year.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been. I don't think that would have been a surprise cut. I think that would have been everybody going, yeah, kind of saw that one coming.
No.
All right. So you say Kappa potentially on the offensive line
for surprise cut. So I don't think that's going to happen. I would give Perryman a better chance than Kappa.
Sure.
Let's see who else. Quarterbacks. I don't think there's anything would be a surprise. Maybe if I had to pick someone, I would say Gabbert.
Right, but he's not.
But that would be But that would be the surprise.
Right.
Like if they went with Fitzpatrick and Fitzgerald.
Mm-hmm. No. Griffin and Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Griffin and Fitzgerald. Yeah. Jesus. And they say bye-bye to Gabbert. I think that would be a big surprise.
That would be a shock. That would be a shocking cut for sure.
It would be. So I don't think that's going to happen. I give that the least of everything I've said so far. So on the offense, I guess the one that has it's the least surprising, at least to me, but has the best chance would probably be Andre Ellington.
Okay.
And then on defense, Vita Vea. That would shock me if they cut him.
But they're not.
That's a joke. That wasn't funny. I think Golston would probably be a shock. He doesn't cost a lot.
Yeah.
He is.
See, that wouldn't be a shock to me.
Really?
No.
So Golston getting cut over their draft pick, their 7th rounder.
Nelson and
No. Their interior line. The guy no one talks about, Beckner. I think it's Beckner or Breckner.
Yeah, the
from
guy
Missouri.
the guy whose name we don't remember right now off the top of our heads. Sure.
Right, but if he was to make the team and Golston not, I think that would be a surprise. Noah Spence, you brought it up. I think that would be a surprise, but the most likely because they're not getting rid of Shaq, they're not getting rid of Nassib, they're not getting rid of Nelson. And they've got some guys with some juice, some undrafted free agents that are coming off the edge.
Okay, let me ask you, while we're talking about this.
Sure.
What are the chances that JPP winds up getting cut? Neck injuries. No. Neck injury gets a little bit, gets a little, whatever.
He doesn't come back this year.
Yeah, he doesn't come back this year. He only has one more year on his contract after this.
Right.
I
still think it's 0.
Okay.
Because they've worked out their salary cap where they can sign everybody and still have a little left over to sign people getting injured and all that type of stuff. If I was the Buccaneers looking towards the future, knowing that, I can afford JPP, it's a future thing.
Right.
Like, if I was the GM, it's like, I'm not getting rid of JPP. Okay, I'm not going to have him this year. I have enough cap space where I've worked it out where, yes, his salary cap's really going to stink for us this year. But now hopefully, I get a new, fresh JPP next year, who, by the way, just got, 11, 12 sacks? And if he doesn't heal by whenever that next year, the 2020 season, I can cut him without any cap, without a hit on the salary cap. So that's something I've said. I'm like, you got to look forward to the future. Like, don't think about JPP this year. The reason he's still on the roster is because they want him for 2020.
Sure.
So that would surprise me. Linebackers.
And for the record, I asked that question just not because I think that he's going to get cut. I asked that question to have it out there so we can talk about it. Sorry, go ahead.
People talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Like every time somebody talks about salary cap, they're like, "We'll just cut JPP. It's $14 million."
Exactly.
It's well, they've worked it out where that's not hurting them this year.
Sure.
Linebackers, God, just about, Devontae Bond might be on the chopping block this year. Sitchy might be on the chopping block this year. I hate to say it, but as far as since Ryan Smith is sort of, he got suspended.
Right.
Vernon Hargreaves might have been a guy that was possibly on the chopping block, but now with Ryan Smith, I think it's almost, he keeps it, but he might not keep his starting job.
Right.
MJ Stewart could be a guy. He's just kind of a man without a position right now. And then I guess the biggest shocker in the secondary, I wouldn't say the biggest shocker, not for me, but I do not think this is going to happen, but I can see the logic in it, is Daewon Buchanan.
Really? Okay.
We talked about it last time. Like, where's he gonna play? You know, it's if Justin Evans comes back fine and Mike Edwards is, you know, what we hear about him, you're not going to take out Levante David or White in pass coverage. So you'd have to take out Evans or Edwards for him to come down and play that money backer position. But, you know, he was a number 1 draft pick when Arians and Bowles were together. And I'm sure they like his versatility. He's actually safety / linebacker on the official roster.
Right.
But if, you know, I guess my argument doesn't hold a lot of water because he doesn't have to be a starter. And Todd Bowles has said that, you know, we're going to play certain defenses more compared to what team we're playing, what the matchups are. So, you know, Buchanan might be very critical to maybe every time we play the Saints. We play him twice a year. So it you know, he could find a spot there. But as far as him being on the field a lot, you know, week in and week out, I think I'm not sure we're going to see that. So, you know, I guess those would be my biggest surprises, but I just don't think there's going to be like sort of this guy that gets cut, you know, that really shocks us, like a high, like, you know, like I think if Beninock got cut, people would be shocked, not upset about it, but they'd be shocked. I don't think there's anybody guy like that, or like Cam Brate gets cut, or, you know, like something. I just don't see it.
All right. Very good. Well, man, I think that's going to be it for us for today. Those are kind of our bold predictions, if you might say, for a team that we, quite honestly, know nothing about right now. Yeah. Well, Ren, I don't know what else we have planned between now and the start of training camp at the end of this week.
Nothing.
Yeah, we have nothing planned. Let's put it that way. But you never know when something might pop up. But our next planned deal is going to be, you know, from training camp. We start Ren's training camp journal or diary, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And then, you know, we will still have our official Pewtercast show come out as well through that time, as we have done in previous years. And we'll have Instant Cast coming off of the preseason games as well, and all that other stuff as we ramp into our season and get back into our regular schedule.
It's time to get back at it. Strap on the feed bag.
Ren, let's tell the folks out there where they can find you on the internet.
Best place to find me is on Facebook. RenDaxt. Friend request me, I'll accept.
Ren likes Facebook. Stay with him there.
Yeah, if this is one of the first few times I've been listening to the Pewtercast, or the first time, I'm not a big fan of Facebook, and I talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. But the best place to find me is on Twitter at Rendaxt, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias, and you can find the show at The Pewtercast on Twitter or at Facebook.com/The Pewtercast. Or you can send in an email to thepewtercast@gmail.com. I'd like to say thank you to our patrons. If you'd like to find out more about that growing community over there, you can go to patreon.com/The Pewtercast. And don't forget about your promo code Pewtercast for huntakiller.com. You can support the show and join Ren and I in having a whole lot of fun with this subscription box service. Well, guys, until next time, when the Bucs are actually on the field at $1, go Bucs.